All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening from wherever you're coming from. We have Tailgate Talks. This is going to be our first episode, recent podcast that me and a couple friends decided to start up. Here I have with me Dustin Wimmer and Brooks. I don't know if we should be calling you by your full name or not on here, but we'll just go with Brooks for now.
Whatever. Let's go, Brooks.
so
That's good.
we're gonna start today's episode off. We're gonna, since it's our first episode together, and since it's gonna be the first one to be uploaded, we're gonna start off with a little about me section, just so that you'll know who your hosts are. I'm Arley. Or to some in the gaming community known as Blanka. So we're gonna kick off the about me's. Dustin, if you want to go ahead and introduce yourself.
Yeah, man. So Dustin Wimmer, I'm out of Lubbock, Texas, and Texas Tech fan. Went to school there for undergrad and grad school. A sweet little 7-year round trip for that. So Texas Tech fan, been through the highs and lows of pretty much every sport around that place. And then I grew up north of Dallas-Fort Worth area, so all the Dallas sports, Cowboys, sadly, but also navigated towards a winning team in the NFL. So became like a Tom Brady fan in the last about 10 years. So I followed him around. Luckily, Pat Mahomes doing good, so kind of following him too. But yeah, all Dallas sports, mainly for pro stuff.
There you go. Nice. All right, Brooks. A little bit about yourself. What do you want to let the people know about you?
Yeah, I guess I'm just Brooks on here. So I'm from Lubbock. I grew up a diehard Texas Tech fan. That's like my Cowboys, Spurs, Astros, all Texas Tech, everything pretty much. LeBron fan, as you can see. I don't claim the Lakers. I claim LeBron. I go where he goes. NFL wise, I'm kind of like Dustin. I have some guys that I root for. I root for Tom. I watch Tom Brady from the Patriots. Gonna follow him with the Bucks, and of course Mahomes since he's Texas Tech. We follow the Chiefs here, so that's pretty much it.
Cool. So that's a little bit about them. Myself, my name is Arley, as I said before. As far as sports affiliations, I love anything Houston, Astros, Rockets, Texans. Yeah, Clutch City, my ass sometimes. Not supposed to swear. Sorry.
Oh, you broke it first.
Yeah,
broke it
like
first.
2 seconds in, I think we can get away with the substitution word for donkey. As far as school, I went to a local community college around here. Yeah, there you go. Trash cans are already out. Uh, I went to Texas Tech for 6 years. That's where I met these two. Me and Dustin here. We did CrossFit. That's where I met him initially, and then later on, met Brooks. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this. First topic of the day. We're gonna go right into it. NBA. So they had about what was it? 2 months worth in that bubble overall.
3 months started in July.
Yeah.
Free if
Into
they
July,
made it all
so
the way. Yeah.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it's about 3 months. We're gonna kind of kick it off with this topic: the highs and lows of the bubble, surprises, what you kind of expected out of that, what were your personal lows out of that, or whatever you're disappointed by. So I guess Dustin, if you want to go ahead and kick us off.
Yeah, going into the bubble situation obviously was something different. They took it super serious, so quarantined everybody for multiple days before they could even get out of their room. So they did really well on that side. I don't know why they needed to social distance and mask up after that point, because if you're doing their bubble correctly like they did, you don't need other stuff, but whatever. They did it well. Games were a little weird at first. Felt like you were just watching a high school gym type practice, which is cool and weird at the same time. But it's cool to hear like the sound on the court a lot. That was good. Like letting fans a little closer to everybody. For the players, I think this really put a national spotlight on a lot of players, mostly good. Couple bad. We'll get to the losers of all that in a little bit. But I think this really brought national attention to a lot of teams and players that most people regionally wouldn't have watched.
Right.
because this was one of the only things to watch. We're coming out of months on end without any sports on. And there's golf for a little bit, but then if you're not into that, you got nothing else to watch. So there's finally NBA on all day. You're watching anybody you can get a hold of. You're watching the Pelicans and the Suns and everybody. You're not just tuning in for, the Celtics and the Lakers.
Oh yeah, people were hungry for sports at that point, man.
So I think really having that national spotlight on teams helped a ton. I think a lot of the young guys like Luka, Jamal Murray, Michael Porter Jr. If you didn't know how many good young guys there are in the league, you should now.
Oh my God, yeah.
Most people knew of like Donovan Mitchell from his great rookie year. Then they didn't know how many good guys are on the Nuggets. You hadn't watched the Nuggets; they're hella fun to watch.
Yeah,
you got a 7-foot guy out there that looks like a carnival ride that is actually really good at basketball.
Joker.
Was, oh dude, he lit it up this little postseason. He came out of nowhere for me, honestly. I knew he was good, but I'd never paid attention to him before. Like, he
does the most hilarious stuff on a basketball court, and then he like makes the shot or makes the pass. It's amazing.
So it's always funny. You're like, wait. It's always funny. You're like, wait, that guy is really good at basketball. You look at him. He's just tall. He's pudgy. He moves slow. He can't jump. Like, what makes this dude good at basketball? But he's out there dropping 30, grabbing 15 boards, and throwing 10 assists a game. It's ridiculous.
He dominates. He dominates. It was an impressive move from him. Brooks, do you have any sort of highs that you picked up off of the bubble so far?
I just enjoyed it all. It was nice to have sports back. Basketball's, kind of my favorite. It's what I played. It's what I know most about. So it was just fun to have games on all the time. Yeah. I thought the product was actually really, really freaking good. Like, they played really good basketball. You look at all these teams from some of the teams that didn't even make the playoffs, like the Suns. They came out and went 8-0. They were killing it. Dame, Lillard, just awesome. Just all these guys are playing really high level of basketball, which made the competition. There's some great games. Like, there's some iconic playoff games that happened all over the place, from the first round, second round, the Western, Eastern Conference Finals to the finals. There's just epic performances from, the guys that you expect, and then other guys that you did not expect just out there, like TJ Warren. Who freaking knew TJ Warren was even on the Pacers? Like, I think I forgot about that. And then it was all of a sudden he's dropping 50. You're like, what is going on here?
I'll be honest. I still don't know who TJ Warren is. I'm probably gonna have to Google that name. That's
NC State product.
That's how little I know about this guy. I think similarly for me, it put a spotlight on players that you wouldn't have ever paid attention to. And not only that, the taking away of home court advantage, you really got to see the best players play their best under what was a difficult situation for everybody. So because it was hard on all of them. They all had families, they all had friends. They weren't able to hook up. Like, what was it? One of the guys even got in trouble for bringing in the COVID tester.
Downwell House, the Houston Rockets own.
So it's like, it was everybody was on an even playing field for once. Like, there was no home court advantage. The new players and the old players, the older players like maybe missed their families more because they were older, but it was even on every aspect of it. They all had to sleep in a hotel. They all had to go in and get tested. They were all away from families or friends. They were all being secluded from their own personal.
And then you lose, and you got to see the guy who beat you walking at your hotel. Like, what the hell is that?
The same pool with the guy who just beat you earlier.
There's that like Jamal Murray post was like, this dude just dropped 57 on me looking at Donovan Mitchell at the restaurant after the game. You're like, that's weird. But every game was the same level because there's no home court. So you're playing on the same court every single game.
Which
every game is even.
To add a little bit of surprise to that, I guess, for me, the best part of the whole thing was seeing all the younger NBA players crush it. I really didn't expect, what was it, Denver that knocked out the Clippers?
Yep.
I didn't expect that at all. Clippers preseason was my number one to win the whole thing. And then LeBron and AD started kicking off. And so immediately I was like, okay, this might be the real deal. This is going to be Lakers Clippers in the Western Finals. But in that series in between Denver and the Clippers, I was completely blown away as to like how slow the Clippers looked, how rusty they looked. They had no drive. They had no like
They didn't want to be there. They looked
didn't
like a
want to
team
be
that
there.
yeah, they
Exactly.
looked
Yeah.
like a team that didn't enjoy the bubble. Like the
Mavericks
bubble was
gave
going to
them
make or
problems the
break
first
you.
round.
Mhm.
Let Denver take it to them.
yeah,
didn't want to be there.
they got beat by Denver. And again, Denver's a good team, but it's just Denver is not known as a hey, what up? How's it going, guys? A couple people hopped in the stream. The Denver is just not known for being a dominant force in the playoffs. They've always been good. They've been kind of that little mid-level threat. Fine. They're a hump that you got to get over. But for them to make it to the Western Conference Finals, phenomenal to see that.
Well, this is their second year kind of with this core, right? You got Jamal Murray, who's really young. You got Jokic, who's really young. So this is kind of just the start for them. They got knocked out by the Blazers in the second round last year.
They took the reins off Michael Porter Jr.
Yeah.
And they just let him go for.
So
they realized they needed a third guy just to be able to compete.
So I guess the second portion of this, we want to kind of take a look at what was the main downside to this? I mean, was it hard to see so many of like the NBA's greatest players struggle so much with this bubble? Was it hard to see, Kawhi being not Kawhi, honestly, and Damian Lillard? I mean, I'm sorry, but like he couldn't carry the Trailblazers again. Like, what do you feel like was a downside to this?
For Dame. Man, he's just that guy that he's a superstar that never gets enough help and is always going to be like the fourth or fifth or lower team and never gets that far.
Yeah,
he's got loyalty.
I feel bad for him because he is awesome and fun to watch.
But I think he's almost loyal to default, because the issue is like if he could get off the Trailblazers, which he could. I don't think he would. I think he's loyal and he's trying to make a name for himself as the guy, kind of like LeBron did for Cleveland, to carry the Trailblazers to conference finals, to championships. And I think he's not going to be able to do that. I think he's
competitive enough to where he thinks that they can win. I think he thinks that they can win there. I mean, they were in the Western Conference Finals just last year. I mean, their team got demolished by the Warriors and they lost guys to injury, but they're maybe one piece away, maybe I don't know where they find that guy. There's not really a free agent out there that's going to go make a change, but Dame's always going to be around there. But like you said, they're always a piece away. It feels like their injuries are always going to knock them off. It's just too much, I think, for one superstar like Dame to, overcome. But I don't really feel bad for any of the players in the bubble.
I think it's negative takeaway. Nothing about product or most of it was super good. It was a couple teams. And I feel like the more I thought about this, these two teams, one from the East, one from the West, they're really the same team doing different things. It's the Rockets and the Sixers.
Oof.
We got two teams with big star power that are stubborn and they're trying to do different kind of game plans and see if it works. And it really crashed and burned under national spotlight. Yeah. Like they really both got exposed. And I mean, and for both sides of them, both teams, it's been building that this isn't going to work. These players aren't going to work together on both teams. Yeah. Like Harden and Westbrook, not going to work. They're both great. Not going to work.
Yep.
Same thing with Embiid and Simmons. Not going to work. I thought you saw that with the national spotlight. Just
it got exposed.
I had them both on my loser list.
Them
on my losers from the bubble.
In Houston in the spotlight, just not being able to step up like a lot of the other teams with young guys and good players. Yeah, couldn't figure it out and really looked bad.
It was a disappointment, and I being a Houston fan especially, it hurt to see, because there's a lot of talent on that squad still. There's a lot of talent on that squad. Individually, there's a lot of there's. Well, okay. Harden and Westbrook individual. Yeah. Harden and Westbrook individually. Let's say if you took every player in the NBA individually, I'd put them in like the top 15, let's say. Individually. Yeah. Maybe top 10, depending on whose list you're looking at. Not top 5 by any means, but maybe top 10. But they have a hard time playing with anybody. And so you put two people that have a hard time playing with anybody together, thinking, well, they played together whenever the Thunder made the finals that one year. It's like, no.
They weren't developed yet, super young.
They were young. Harden was sixth man of the year. Westbrook was really being carried by Durant that whole year. Like, it wasn't going to work. And then
everybody that leaves Westbrook go off and become an all-star.
Yeah,
that's gonna be Harden's next move. Just freaking leave Houston.
But yeah, I mean, going into it, I was like, well, Houston just made all these moves the last year and a half that they were going backwards. I mean,
if you look at it, they could have used Capella in that Lakers series because they, no tall guy. But
that was their dumbest move. That was their dumbest move.
You know, operate NBA was 6'6" and under.
Yeah, PJ Tucker's good at defense, but he can't guard Anthony Davis in a 7-game series.
He's not,
you need somebody.
There's no matchup. The Warriors kind of brought out like the end of the tall guy era. They brought out small ball in general, and they brought out the 3-point shot, and so everybody else was trying to copy that, and then of course the Rockets right behind him because
they took it too far.
The Rockets took it too far. They went in another direction.
Y'all got so obsessed with the Warriors that y'all tried to. Y'all were like, "How can we out-warrior the Warriors?"
This is a big man sport. People forgot that this is a big man sport, and that's part of, I guess, going into our next topic,
the correction curve.
What I love so much about this LA win is that it brought it back to basketball for me, which is a dominant sport by big men. These are LeBron's a big dude. AD is a big dude, and they were dominant all through the season. They had the best record. They had the best postseason or playoffs, in my opinion. And so I guess we'll kind of use this moment to kind of segue on into the next section, which is LAbron. So what are your feelings on this? This is his 4th title. This is his 3rd city to do it in. He had a roster full of NBA has-beens. What do y'all feel about this? Brooks, since you got the shirt, you take the lead.
Thank you, sir. I'm obviously excited for him. Like, he came to LA. He promised them he's going to bring them back to glory, and he did it in 2 years. Last year, he was hurt. They were going pretty well last year until he got hurt. And so this year was kind of felt like his redemption. He thinks that people think he's washed, that he's, not the guy that he used to be. But look at him here in year 17, combined with 3+ seasons worth of playoff games. And he's not missing playoff games. He's there again in the finals. He's going off in the finals, having great game after great game, winning the MVP over Anthony Davis, who's younger and supposed to be the guy that carries the team. But LeBron at 35 is still top. And look at the Heat.
I would have broken shit if AD got the. Sorry, I need to not cut.
Just look at the young guys on the Heat. Bam Adebayo missed games because he got hurt. You look at all the Giannis got hurt. Kevin Durant's not even playing because he's hurt. Look at all the guys across the league who are younger than him coming at his throne, and yet here he is, healthy, winning a 4th title, a 4th MVP. Clearly, it's still the title goes through LeBron, and it's now 10 years that he's been in the finals. 9 of the last 10 he's been in the finals. Like, most guys are like, hey, that guy will get you to the playoffs. Kevin Durant will get you to the playoffs. Steph Curry will get you to the playoffs. LeBron will get you to the finals because when he's in the playoffs, he's going to the finals. And sure, he might not win them all because he runs into Kevin Durant riding the Golden State Warriors. He runs into, a Spurs when he's, young. So there's sometimes that he just runs into a better team, but he gives his team a chance to win every single year.
Yeah.
And he did it this year, and it was very impressive. AD was very impressive. AD looks like he's becoming that guy that everybody thought. And he got good contributions from Rondo and Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, who saw that coming, and Alex Caruso's giving you good minutes. So I just think it was an impressive run. He had a job to do. I think there was only one way for him to leave that bubble, and that was with the title, and he did it. And, everybody's like, Kawhi's the new guy, but look where, Kawhi is at home watching LeBron win and bring the title back to LA. So, I was impressed. I'm happy. Let's go 4 titles. Let's go get a 5th. next year, and let's do it in front of fans.
I hope he
I think
does.
having that year off last year from the playoffs helped
Yeah.
LeBron out because it gave his body what 6 or 8 weeks that he usually plays on to rest.
Yeah, this dude plays the June every year. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, 3 more seasons of playoffs that they don't get accredited to talk about that stuff. I mean, he's basically played 20 years if you add that up. Finally took a couple months off last year and came back, had a little better roster, and a couple injuries across the league helped him out. But that's every year for teams, whoever wins.
Yeah.
Well, so then you kind of got to think a little bit about like the longevity of this.
Yes.
That is hard on the body. Jordan took a break after 3 years in the playoffs. And yeah, he went 3 for 3 in the playoffs. Fine. In finals
he made
appearances.
The playoffs before.
He made it, but let's be honest. Jordan by himself was never that big of a threat until he got Pippen. He wasn't. We talked about this the other night, Brooks. He wasn't. He was standalone. He was the best player of all time by himself.
Yeah, I have his first 2 playoff rounds if you want him.
But yeah, what were they? Where did he get knocked out? I'm curious.
All right, so his first year in the league, they make the playoffs. They lost in 4 games to the Bucks. Second year, they're swept by the Celtics, Larry Bird.
Yeah.
Next year, swept again by Larry Bird.
So first 3 years gets knocked out.
Yeah, and then 3 consecutive losses to the Pistons. So he has 6 straight playoff appearances. Where
so
he's
it was
pretty
on his
quick
7th
exit,
try
so.
where he finally makes a good run when he picks up Pippen, and he makes a run straight to the finals. So like people want to glorify Jordan because he went 6 for 6 in appearances and 6 for 6 in titles, but they always neglect to put out those first 6 years that it took him to even get there. Whereas LeBron was literally by himself in Cleveland, bringing these teams to the NBA Finals every year. And it took him it did take him 3 years to get there. I'll give him that. It did take him 3 years, but he was still. Can you name 2 players off of that Cleveland squad?
Yes.
That first year they made it to the finals.
Daniel Boobie Gibson.
I can't.
Andrew Gooden.
No.
But see, you're the LeBron
Wally
fan here.
Zerbiak.
If you couldn't, I'd be disappointed. Any normal human being cannot name 2 other players on that first Cleveland roster. So that's the impact that you have with LeBron on any team he's on. He's gonna push your team forward.
Yeah.
He's gonna carry you to the next level.
So
Yeah, go ahead.
Legacy wise, that's LeBron.
Yeah.
So you mentioned 10 years, 9 straight, 4 championships, 3 teams, 3 cities, having to move around a little bit.
So I guess the
and
next
he's had different
go ahead.
coaches all over the place too. Cleveland never really gave him a great coach, and Eric Spoelstra was just coming up. He's gone through 2 coaches in LA. If LeBron had a better coach, like a better legacy type coach, historic type coach, would his legacy be better? Maybe some more wins, maybe more stability. But do you think that kind of affects how much he's not won and how things are looked at? Do you think that would have helped having a Phil Jackson, Greg Popovich?
There's some it would have. There's some teams he was just completely outmatched. Like his first one against the Spurs, like there was no way they were going to beat that team and Popovich. I think Spoelstra is a great coach. I mean, look what he did with
I think he is
team.
now.
Like, he's very impressive.
Yeah.
And he kind of invented this, putting your big out there to shoot. Like Chris Bosh moving him to a 3-point line really changed that, Heat team up. And that's what kind of helped them get some dubs. I don't really know, because I don't think Frank Vogel was really that instrumental in this. I think when you have Anthony Davis and LeBron James, you're going to win. And I think when you have LeBron, Dwayne, and Chris Bosh, you're going to win. And when you have, LeBron, Kyrie, and Kevin Love, you should win. But I think there's definitely some tactical things some coaches would have, a better coach could have done.
A better
some
coach
mismatches or something.
with a young player, he would have been better off. So
it's Cleveland's fault.
I think so,
100%.
They didn't give him enough backup. They didn't give him a good coach. Like this was literally an 18-year-old trying to carry a multi-million-dollar franchise to the finals, and he did. He did it
And
3
they
times
backed him
with
up
them.
with washed Antoine Jameson and
Yeah.
like Mo Williams. Like those were the guys you thought were gonna.
Brutus Ilgauskas.
Anderson Varejao. Like, come on.
His legacy wouldn't have taken so long to develop. That's the main problem.
Yeah.
Is that it took it a while to kick off. But if you take a look at it, though, his legacy didn't take as long as it did for Jordan to kick his off, because again, Jordan was the name of the NBA, but for 6 years. Within Brooks, how many years was LeBron in Cleveland before making it to the finals? Before he moved to Miami.
Well, so LeBron's first 2 years they didn't make the playoffs, but in 2005, 2006, his third year, that's the first time they made it to the playoffs. In 2008, 2007, 2008, that's the first year they make the finals. So his second year in the playoffs, he makes the finals, which was, I think, earlier than a lot of people expected him to do it.
Yeah.
And he did it, and they were clearly overmatched, and he struggled in that. But, you know, you're playing 3-4 Hall of Famers in that Spurs team.
3-year-old,
That Spurs team is still one of my favorite dynasties of all time.
You know, and then after that, you lose to, I think they get knocked out by the Magic, and then they get knocked out by the Celtics. And so, you know, and he was really good in that Magic series. The Magic were just better than his team. And then
say back to your point of, you know, Michael Jordan's first 6 years, LeBron went through the same.
They were similar.
It was a very parallel.
Cleveland. Yeah, he did drag them to a finals and some playoff runs, but he pretty much went through the same trials and errors. And, you know, the GM and the organization was trying to catch up. Didn't know what they had as early as they did.
Yeah.
They had the same kind of trials and errors. So it's more similar than you think.
Yeah, I think so.
Absolutely the case. All right. So I think we'll take a second here.
Winners and bubble losers.
Yeah, go ahead. We'll take a quick second.
We have one more bubble winner after Brooks.
All right, go for it. What do you got, Brooks?
All right, I'm gonna go with Adam Silver, bubble winner.
Oh, good.
Guy was instrumental in getting this all set up, and guess what? You got it set up. You got your NBA champion. Oh, he was there. He presented the trophy at the end.
He got there super late.
He probably had to quarantine
there the whole time.
Hey, but without Adam Silver driving this thing goes kaput. This thing falls apart. There's no bubble. You know, when they're boycotting the games, I don't think the season starts back up without him. He wins. No positive COVID test. What happened to the MLB and NFL right now?
The main thing was that it worked, man. That
got
was
a
the coolest part.
You finished the season. Kudos to him.
Absolutely. Dustin, you got one little high or low you want to plug in?
Big player that I think won huge out of all this was Jimmy Butler.
Oh yeah,
he was second on my list.
Jimmy Butler got so much out of this because he got the monkey off his back of being a bad teammate. And just because the Timberwolves and the 76ers are so soft, they couldn't handle his competitiveness, and he just needed a place to ball out.
Yeah.
All the time. The
That
76ers obviously don't want to do that. They just want to get hurt and hang out. But he went to a team that was young, had dudes that want to play, had veterans like Warren Dragic that know what to do and how to play, and let them grow. And that competitiveness fed off to everybody else. And they were young, they wanted it. And Jimmy Butler he was the starter to that fire for them. And good for him, because there was so much bad going around to him when he was bouncing from the Bulls and the Timberwolves and the Sixers. And
he had a horrible reputation.
Look at all those teams after he leaves, right?
Exactly.
Timberwolves, nothing. Sixers, first round exit. You know, they're all garbage now that he's left. And look at the Heat in the finals.
Good for Jimmy Butler.
No,
can I run through my list?
Wait, what? There's more? Okay, let's hit it.
I got all the winners and losers. I told you I wanted to do this segment. All right, so other winner, I had Eric Spoelstra.
Oh, that was gonna be mine.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
No, that was great. I think this whole playoff run solidified him as one of the top tier NBA coaches. I thought it was phenomenal to see him back. It proved his value without LeBron and D Wade and Bosh as like people thinking that
that's the key.
Oh yeah. Well, it proved his value with what was arguably before this bubble Jimmy Butler was the biggest pain in the butt to deal with for any franchise. Everybody was talking about having problems with him. Everybody was having a problem with his competitive nature. But then here comes Eric Spoelstra and Jimmy Butler meet together in Miami, and all of a sudden they're in the NBA Finals.
Perfect
not
connection.
one person could have predicted that beforehand. Not one. Like, I'm sorry, but like, if you predicted that, you either live in Miami or you're some kind of like crazy person outside with letters on a card.
Or you're the producer of the Dan Lepetard show.
It's just that you had to have been a Miami fan from Miami,
yeah.
or you were just spouting out nonsense. There's nobody that predicted this. So like Eric Spoelstra definitely was top of my list. I 100.
And look at some of the coaches he outcoached. Bud.
Oh my God. Yeah.
And then Brad Stevens, like he outdid Brad Stevens, who everybody's like, that's next Popovich.
Yeah.
And Spoelstra's young, man. Spoelstra's really young.
I was low key kind of happy that he outcoached Brad Stevens. I was kind of happy to see that happen because so many people want to overhype the Celtics as the next big team out of the West or out of the East. Sorry. And I don't think that they're there. I don't think they have Jason Tatum.
Oh yeah,
and they got Tatum and Jaylen Brown and Kemba.
They have a couple of good players, but they're not going to dominate the East like people want to say they will before the start of every single season. And okay, keep going with the list. All right. Let's keep moving.
Another Heat guy, Tyler Hero.
Yeah,
I think he was the rookie that kind of stood out the most. He had some pretty damn good games in there. I think he solidified himself as a guy that people see being like a next, kind of superstar type player. If he can he's 20, he's got a lot of years ahead of him.
Yep.
We already touched on Jamal Murray and Damian Lillard. I thought they were big winners. They had some huge moments. Devin Booker and the Suns. The Suns went 8-0, so they've propelled themselves to where next year everybody's going to have higher expectations, I think, for them because of their performance. And Luka. I think you got to talk about Luka.
Luka's one of the most fun NBA players to watch in the league.
Yeah,
hands down. Like I want to hate him. I do just because he's in that weird awkward town north of Houston. But he is just too good and too fun, and it looks like you can see him play the game, and you can tell he is having the time of his life out there.
Oh yeah,
every second of it.
He's like 20 years old, and Porzingis is like 23 or 24. Like they have two all-stars that are super young and really good, and when both of them are on the floor, man, they're good.
And what I thought about Luka's bubble time was, all right, how is he going to play in the playoffs? And he's playing the Clippers, who everybody thought, and he went out there and he swung right back at them.
He balled.
Probably one of the biggest shots of the playoffs.
He was doing it by himself too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, KP got hurt quick. So,
all right, I think we
got to talk about the Clippers though.
Oh, that was everybody's seen that disappointment. That was such a disappointment, dude. They were in such a good position, and their entire team just meh.
Shot the bed.
They need somebody that wants to have fun while they play basketball on their team. They're all too serious.
Yeah. I think you're right. Everybody looks like they're having
Pat
fun.
Beverly's always mad.
Yeah.
Paul George just doesn't have a good time. Kawhi is just a robot. Like, Morris is a thug.
The most awkward laugh on the planet.
Nobody has fun. Like Luka has fun.
So that's I think a key factor that they were missing in that entire playoff run. Now they were doing great during the regular season, in general. Before the bubble, they were doing phenomenally. Yeah. And then as soon as the bubble hit and they had to finish out the regular season to kind of get those final seedings.
Yeah.
All right.
That's pretty much all I had on
so I think that's gonna be it for our talk about the NBA, about LeBron, about the Lakers, and the highs and lows of the season. So let's go ahead and move this over to the NFL. So far, we're now at week 5. Week 5 is finished. Sorry, we're about to kick off. We're about to kick off week 6 tomorrow. It's weird with the COVID thing. It's weird with the COVID thing and the delays and all of that, and then moving games to different days and stuff. I'm used to my Thursday night, and then Sunday and Monday, and
No
then
Thursday this week because
yeah,
that would have been the Bills game.
see, it throws me off, man. It throws me
So-
off. So let's kind of start with some highs and lows, and then we'll kind of dial it in a little bit more to particular teams. Any particular highs or lows that you want to talk about? Dustin, will kick you off on this one.
Just starting with the game last night, Titans and Bills. I guess the Titans just don't need to practice. They looked awesome.
Dude.
They're just like, oh, roll football out. Let's chunk it around. Let's do this thing.
We're talking about practice.
Yeah, we don't need to practice 2 weeks, whatever. Also, how are they practicing at a high school field for like a week and a half and hardly nobody noticed? It took like 4 days, and somebody's like, "Hey, look at this blurry picture. I think those are some Titans players."
You think somebody with like a Twitter would go by and be like, "Hey,
wait a minute." I mean, we're starting to see some COVID effects and how it's going to affect the schedule.
Mm-hmm.
I think the NFL messed up by not putting in a second bye week to help with this schedule Jenga, whatever you want to call it, because now they've changed like 8 different schedules for teams. The Steelers got screwed with having a bye week last week when they had a week 8 bye week, and then they get a week 4 bye week.
Yeah.
And like, I think they messed up on that side of it, not planning for that.
So you think giving them more bye weeks would have helped with the COVID cases that they've had?
Well, I think it would have helped their scheduling problems.
Yeah.
They're only 5 weeks in, and we're already shuffling schedules. I would say pretty decently for this early. I mean,
I've heard
they've moved around a lot of games already.
I've heard some people talking about that they have extra dates for like the Super Bowl that they can work some in, but like you said, they should have maybe had like an extra bye week in there just already.
Mm-hmm.
They were like, "We'll figure it out when we get there."
They needed
let's plan for this.
They needed a contingency plan for this. Yeah.
Like it's gonna happen, but
they had so much time.
So like people want to kind of compare the NBA bubble to the NFL, and the issue is that the NBA, each team has 20 total people that they got to bring in the building.
They were allowed 30 people per team.
Each NFL team has around 120. Let's say
53. You have your 53 man roster, and then, I mean all your coaches. So I mean whatever that is,
medical staff,
whatever that number is,
trainers,
staff,
and
whatever that number.
You're talking about at least 100 guys per team.
Right. Mm-hmm. So in 32 teams, you have 3,200 people to account for. Whereas NBA bubble, what is that? 600? That literally one eighth of the amount of people. Like it was.
Bring in the crappy teams. They left a few out.
I think the NBA or the NFL kind of failed on this one a little bit in that they needed to find if they were going to take COVID as seriously as other sports have to be able to put out a good product. I think they needed to try and find a way to look at a bubble similarly to like how the MLB did or the NBA did. There's too many players to kind of do it that easily, but they needed to have more neutral sites or something along those lines. I think would have helped this outbreak and these delays upon delays and teams having to move schedules. And I don't know. I don't know what would have fixed this exactly. Obviously, this is hindsight now.
It's tough with all those people. Like you expect all those people to stay in a bubble for an extended period of time, or do you try to challenge them and be like, "Hey, stay home. Don't put yourself at risk." You're just putting trust in these guys, and a lot of them are younger dudes and have never had to, do these things. So
I would say I think it's early to kind of argue your point. I think it's going better than I thought because they don't have a bubble.
Yeah.
I mean, the Titans are the only team that had an outbreak and affected a little bit, and then they shifted a couple games around for the Patriots. But besides that, it's pretty minimal considering how many people they can go out of the facility and no bubble and all that stuff, and kind of just got to be smart what they're doing.
Yeah.
Can I ask y'all a question?
What's up?
Yeah.
So I heard somebody talk about this the other day. So would you rather have been the Titans or the Patriots? Because the Patriots get Cam Newton who has COVID, and so they are forced to play a game that they're probably going to lose because now they're playing with Brian Hoyer. So you have to take a loss. While the Titans, a lot of guys on your team get it. You get a bye week. Yep. You don't have to get a loss. They're undefeated. They didn't have to play without these guys. The Patriots had to play without their best player, and now they get an extra loss. So it's like, would you rather have your whole team, more of your guys get COVID so you don't lose?
Yeah. I think that's more situational because the Titans had multiple people with COVID test positive.
They ended up with 19 players.
Yeah, and I'm asking, would you rather have 19 guys so you don't lose? Or just one guy. So
100%. If you can save like the wins are so crucial in the NFL because they didn't get a preseason, and so they didn't have any warm up. So and every single win that you can pull off right now in the NFL is that much more impactful. And so you take any edge you can. So if you were given an extra bye week to recover because you had 19 people with the COVID cases test positive, then you take that. I really genuinely think that the Patriots would have won that game with Cam Newton.
Yeah, I think so too.
They played really good against Kansas City. I don't want to because, I want to see, Texas Tech's pride and glory beat everybody that he goes up against. But the reality is that Andy Reid doesn't know how to beat Bill Belichick 10 out of 10 times. He's gonna beat him, let's say 4 out of 10, but Bill Belichick's gonna have his number those other 6 times, and I think that's what would have happened if they were to face with or against Cam Newton.
There's a stat like there's 3 times that Mahomes hasn't scored a touchdown in the first half, and 3 of them are against Bill Belichick.
I forgot about that.
Would argue, I followed the Patriots pretty heavily last 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Belichick's okay with this loss.
Oh, yeah.
By not playing Cam Newton and giving their game plan of how they were going to play against them.
Yeah.
Not giving all that information away.
Oh, my God.
He's the only guy who can turn it into a positive.
He's so five-head about that whole thing, honestly. Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he did actually go to Cam about that and just be like, hey, you know what? This isn't a bad thing. We're gonna face these guys at some point come the playoffs. We're
look at our division. We got Ryan Fitzpatrick, and we got the Jets.
He's balling out. Don't even talk shame on him. He's playing good.
Fitzmagic is amazing.
Miami's like, we're trying to tank down here, and Fitzmagic won't stop throwing touchdowns.
Oh my God! All right, so far, I'll say this. Looking at this little background here, the biggest surprise for me this year. And I hate to say it, Cleveland Browns.
Actually playing smart.
What?
Yeah.
They're keeping the ball out of Baker Mayfield's hands, and it's working.
Run the ball.
They're doing the Kirk Cousins.
Oh my! Because I want to like Baker a little bit because I met him in the dorms at Tech. I want to. He wasn't a bad dude. I've met him. I've talked to him. It was his only year that he played for us.
Commercials.
And you can tell he's got a little bit of a sense of humor. But then after he went to OU, then I'm like, all right, well, no, we're done. But so I want to hate him, but watching them do well is very entertaining to me. I like seeing them do well because they're just classically so bad. But it's working for them this year. 4-1. And they beat the Colts, which I had the Colts as one of my dark horses for this year. And they beat them 32-23 on here.
Well, they figured out an identity. They have Chubb, even though he's hurt right now, and Kareem Hunt. You got 2 really, really good running backs. And it looks like they have a decent offensive line. So they're just going to pound the rock. And they got good receivers when you need Baker to throw. If he's,
right.
I don't think you want to depend on him. Like Dustin said, you want to kind of do the Kirk Cousins, let him game manage. But you got 2 good running backs, so feed them, let them eat.
Yep.
So do y'all have any other surprises from this season so far that you weren't kind of expecting?
Not really. I guess, how awful Dallas, the Eagles, the Giants, and the Redskins division is.
Division. What's the winner at right now?
Washington football team.
Yeah, we can't say that. We can't say that name anymore, man.
Hey,
It's
that
Dal-
tie for the Eagles might come in handy later.
Yeah,
Where
it's
are they
Dallas.
at?
I
Where are they
think
at?
Dallas isn't first with 2 and 3, and then it's the Eagles
No.
at like 1, 3 and 1.
They're all at one win. There's a 3-way tie at one win.
500 or so is going to win that division.
Sub 500 will win that division. I will not be at all surprised to see 7 and 9 come out on top in that division.
The problem is the Cowboys, I don't think are as bad as their record. Because
Their defense is as bad as
where
their
they'll
record.
come back
They,
and be like, hey, we're still in this. So if they get in the playoffs, they could upset a team or two just if they get on.
Here's
and
the
not get
problem
down
with
by
Dallas is
2 games.
their offense is like a diesel truck. It's gonna take it about a full quarter to start warming up.
Yeah.
It's gonna take it a little while. Once it gets going, their offense is phenomenal. The problem is they have a diesel truck driving the offense, and they have a Fiat driving the defense.
Oh.
Nothing.
Yeah, the
it's
problem
this,
is they're
this
already
little
down
tiny
21.
penalty. And so, like, the problem with Dallas is, yes, they have a great offense. They have great receivers. They have a good O-line. Not their best. Their best was like 2 years ago.
Their O-line is pretty garbage now, honestly.
It's still better than a lot. I'm sorry, but their quarterback's not getting hit anywhere near as often as like some of the other teams.
They don't have either of their starting tackles, Pro Bowl tackles. They don't have their center. That was an All-Pro. He retired. All they have left is Zach Martin holding that together.
Yeah.
And I mean,
And they're throwing Terrence Steele out there from Tech.
I mean,
They still have offensive components that click well, and they do well. Dak has been amazing in the last 3 quarters of the game. It's just that first quarter rev up, for some reason, it takes them forever to get going, and now they're sitting here at 1 and 3. And that one, honestly, it should be 0 and 4.
They should have 2 wins, Giants and Falcons.
yeah, they got 2. But yeah, they should have started 0-4. You're right.
No, it should be an 0 and 4 start. Honestly, that was like the Falcons was the biggest goof I've ever seen in my life. That onside kick,
falconing.
Oh my god. So I just, this division, I think I will not in the least bit be surprised if we see a 7 and 9 team come out of this, or maybe even less. Honestly, what 6 and 10 somehow.
The football team up north is trotting out Alex Smith on 1.5 legs.
That's scary.
Because they don't have faith in their number 5 pick from 2 years ago that they were going all in on. Like, what are y'all doing up there? So like, they're not going anywhere either.
Yeah. So what would you say is y'all's biggest letdown of this season so far? What would you say is the biggest I guess disappointment?
The Cardinals got everybody real hyped at the start when they went 2-0, and then they lost a couple bad games. And they've won 3 games. 1 against the Washington football team, who we just talked about, bad. 1 against the Jets, bad. San Francisco's not very good this year. And they have 2 pretty bad losses that I think so. They got everybody thinking that, maybe Kyler Murray and the Cardinals are going to be good, and I think they've fallen flat on their face since.
That division that the Cardinals is in stacked. And so, like, even though the 49ers are kind of
injuries for them.
They have injuries and stuff, but they're kind of you don't know what you're going to get each week from them. That division is still really going to be really hard to come out.
Yeah, so. Seahawks and the Rams are really good so far this year too.
Rams are doing surprisingly well this year. I thought they were going to start going down because even though Sean McVay did phenomenal for them 2 years ago, Jared Goff is just a boring quarterback to me. He's a boring system quarterback to me. I don't think he's that phenomenal of a talent. I just think he hits his routes and that's it.
I think he's good.
He's good, but he's not. But
works a lot in this league now. If you have the right coach like McVay.
But it's
you
just
could be good. Like Sam Darnold's done some good things, but he's on a crappy team with a crappy coach.
Yeah.
Look at all the guys who get better.
good can't do anything.
Good can get you there with yeah. I mean, look at Baker Mayfield. Good can get you somewhere.
I think little plus. I think the product on the field, it's football like normal.
Oh, we got football back, man. We got football back.
Any drastic changes just because we didn't have preseason, which players didn't want anyways.
Yeah, or fans.
So I think there's no letdown on the product side.
No, the only people that want preseason in reality is the people desperate for football waiting to come back. So that's like that first sign.
No, man, it's the owners want the ticket money.
but also the people on the practice squad. Those are the only two people that really want to see preseason.
It helps the people.
In Hard Knocks.
Oh, it does. Oh yeah. Did Hard Knocks even record anything this year? I didn't even look and see.
I didn't even watch it. I heard bad things about it, but
I stopped watching that after they did the Texans. I was like, I'm done.
My biggest letdown is so far my boy Tom Brady in Tampa.
Yeah.
But I was going in with some tempered expectations.
Yeah.
They had a lot of moving parts coming in. Everybody's like Tom and Gronk and Fournette, like
Mike Evans.
And Bruce Arians is a good coach, but without a preseason and training camp and all that, and off season, it's going to be a lot harder to get all those moving parts to gel together.
Yeah.
They had one really good couple weeks ago, and Tom's never been great in the first few games of the season. That's how the Patriots always ran. Mm-hmm. That was basically their real preseason. And so I think Tom's kind of taking it the same way of like, we're going to figure things out these first few games. We might not win. That's okay.
And they're not disciplined.
Yeah.
There's so many bad penalties on that team.
They lose almost like an entire football field and a half every single game in penalties alone.
And that's something that's not going to get you anywhere. To fix. Like, you got to get that fixed individually, and that's a little tougher.
He's not used to that.
I think the back half of their season is going to be phenomenal. They got the Falcons at the very end. Let's see if we're going backwards. Falcons, Lions, they're going to dominate. Falcons again, they're going to smoke them. Vikings is going to be a hard show. Chiefs, that's a toss up because around this time, this is what November 29th, they're facing the Chiefs. That's whenever the Chiefs like to throw in another random loss. That for some reason, I feel like the Pat Mahomes likes to lose like 2 or 3 random games a year. Yeah.
They just did one last weekend.
That's one. That was one. They usually lose 2 or 3 every single year where you're like, why? This is not even the same team that like just blew everybody out of the water last year in like
Raiders
third
did
and fourth quarter comebacks.
The Raiders did what I think like Iowa State and West Virginia and teams like that would do to them in college, where they just put 3 or 4 guys rushing and they just drop everybody back and play the pass.
Yeah.
And if you can get a decent pressure on them and, flood all the receivers and stuff in the back, it's going to make it difficult on them.
I'm looking at these last 9 games for the Bucks, and I can see them winning 8 of them. Because it's going to be a rematch with the Saints. It's going to start off with the Giants. They're going to blow them by 30 points. Then it's going to be the Saints and then the Panthers. And that's going to be Saints is going to be within a field goal, but I think that they're going to win this turnaround. And then Panthers win. Rams, that's going to be their one for sure loss. Chiefs for sure could go either way. And then Vikings will be tough, and then their last 3 they're going to win. So that's 6 out of the last 9 for sure.
That's how Tom rolls.
Yeah, so they're going to get that playoff spot. And I think with Tom Brady's experience in the playoffs, it's gonna carry them a lot further than what you should expect out of the Buccaneers. Cool. All right, so we're gonna go ahead and jump on to our last segment for the day. We're gonna talk about, of course, everybody's favorite topic, the Dallas Cowboys, and their season, their highs, their lows, and their biggest low this season, and I actually felt hurt hearing this news. I was watching the Cowboys game and I saw that play. Dak breaking his ankle. So we'll start off with the highs and lows so far this season. I think we touched on it a little bit as far as Dallas taking forever to rev up and Dustin, this is your squad, man. I mean, what's your opinions over there about this team?
Well, they can't tackle, so that's cool. Got rid of everybody in their secondary, so that's cool. There's a Pro Bowl safety out there just on the street that they don't want to sign. And like Demarcus Lawrence hadn't done anything. Jalen Smith hadn't done anything. Of course, Sean Lee's hurt. Of course, Sean Lee's little brother, like Van Der Esch, is hurt. And literally, like everybody they've paid, not doing much.
No.
Like Zeke, now he doesn't have all those big boys on the line.
No.
Pretty mediocre. I'm not saying him as a player he's mediocre, but his production's not there anymore.
No. But
now,
you need to have
when they would
open
get
that
down
hole
in
for
games and they'd be like, all right, Dak and everybody go save us. Yeah, they started to cook a little bit. They'd get CeeDee Lamb out. Even Michael Gallup in a disappointment this year. But I do think that explosive type offense will help keep them in games, which you've seen. They've been coming back and been back in games, sometimes a little too late.
I think you might need to reword the phrasing on that. That explosive type of offense would have helped them. So the issue now, I guess, kind of going forward, is can the Red Rocket carry him that far?
So I don't know. I don't think Andy Dalton's that bad.
No,
why they went and got him.
Yeah, he's a good backup. He's a great backup to have.
Because they didn't. Somebody probably asked Jerry Jones. They were like, "Hey, if Dak goes down, you think Cooper Rush can do this?" He was like, "Who?"
It's Cooper Rush.
No,
no shot.
Not.
No shot.
Of course not. You have a playoff plus caliber roster and weapons, and if your quarterback goes down, well, then what? And you kind of saw this with a couple teams last year, like Mariota, Tannehill, and you saw some other teams kind of do it. Having that good backup, good payoff. And the Cowboys went that route, and so I think Andy Dalton, he's definitely going to be a drop off from Dak, but I don't think he
had some great seasons in Cincinnati.
Once the roster started to fall apart, the win-loss record and the numbers weren't ever there. But
they were
never anything terrible. But he's
never had a. I don't think he's ever had a roster like this one though. He never had. No. He had AJ Green, but that was pretty much like it to throw to.
Ocho Cinco.
Yeah,
he had Ocho Cinco and Houshmandzadeh.
Yeah, there were some good players on those Bengals teams.
No, I agree with Brooke. Definitely not a roster just loaded beside him.
Yeah, but this one you got three receivers that would be top guys on pretty much any team.
So I think he can manage this pretty well, and maybe this helps Mike McCarthy change his play calling better.
Might be.
Maybe that offense evens out rather than all or nothing.
It's definitely going to be a roll of the dice to see if they're going to be taking off or not. We really don't. Nobody really knows 100% because we haven't seen Andy Dalton in the spotlight in 5 years. Yeah. And I think this is going to be. I expect Dallas actually to do very well for the next 2 weeks because nobody's been preparing for him. Nobody's been preparing for Andy Dalton. Nobody's been preparing for and nobody knows what Mike McCarthy is going to throw in because this is his first year at it too. Yeah. I won't be surprised if Dallas wins the next 2 games. I don't even know who they're playing.
Cardinals on Monday night next.
Oh, they got that one. I think they can win that. I think Cardinals are still.
Please beat the Cardinals.
I think they should. Cardinals are a good team and they're young and they're still building. But I think.
But let Collar go off in fantasy because I got him.
Andy Dalton though looks weird in a blue and white uniform.
He does.
His hair matched his uniform before.
He looked really good in the Bengals jersey.
Perfect as a Bengal.
Yeah.
He needed to go to like the Cardinals or.
I was pushing for him to become an Astros baseball player when he retired.
Like he needs maybe San Francisco, that gold and red combo.
It doesn't fit. It doesn't fit.
It's just not in a matching.
Bears, Chicago.
I guess.
Bears color rush. That'd be so good.
Oof.
So I guess major downside for me, and the part that hurt me the most about that Dak injury was Jerry Jones being kind of a jerk. Honestly, I I really do feel like I know Dak was pushing for what was it, $40 million a year is what he was pushing for out of his camp, and the reality is I 100% believe that Dak was worth like $30 million a year. He was good with the media, he handled all the press, and he handled Jerry, but I don't think he was worth more than 30. I think if he would have settled for $30 million a year for 7 years or something like that, he would have ended up with a big mansion in the outskirts of Dallas. But like,
For you to say that, didn't it?
Trophy club.
Huh?
Trophy club in Dallas.
Yeah, I know. So like to see him get injured whenever he just got franchise tag for like, what was it, $34 million, and this is
got that money though.
1 year of it though. I think he was worth that 7-year contract, and so like, do you think Jerry is gonna sign him?
I would bet he gets franchise tag next year again.
Yeah.
But
especially
not
now.
necessarily a bad thing. I think it's just another negotiating year, kind of like this year was going to be. I think the injury kind of sets that all back to where we were last year. We're going to go into next year probably with another $38 or whatever $1 million contract for 1 year.
Yeah.
And
see
trying to work the numbers out.
The injury has him out.
Came out today and said we want him as our future.
Yeah.
So he is backing him up a little bit, even though
No, back his paycheck, back his bank account.
But so all right, what if Andy Dalton comes in and the Cowboys like are semi-successful with him? What does that change Jerry's mind? And he's like, oh, I don't need to pay Dak because we can do this with
no.
Any
if Jerry was still running things, yes. But luckily, Steven's taken most of that over, so no.
Yeah.
I still feel like Jerry still has too much of a big word in that organization as far as player recruitment and the status of GM, which I feel like he still completely takes over.
I just think it's always hard to find a quarterback that's as good as Dak, right? It's so hard to find a quarterback that gives you a chance to win every game. So when you have one,
pay him.
You should lock it down. Lock it down, because what do you want to go do?
Really miss on Dak's window these last 4 years.
Yeah.
Because you don't find, there's been Dak and Russell Wilson that are not first or second round quarterbacks the last few years that you can win with.
Oh, yeah.
So you have Dak, 4th round, got a gem there, not having to pay him anything for these 4 years, hardly.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You can pay other guys,
load up
other guys, which they drafted Zeke that year too, so that was a good pick. But they missed their window of having a cheap quarterback and being able to spend the money elsewhere.
They should have.
Look,
well,
you said,
they did.
Wilson. Look what the Seahawks did with him. They got Russell Wilson, a good young QB, and they loaded up on defense.
Oh my God, yeah, and fucking Metcalf. Good Lord, that guy's paying off for them for cheap.
Yeah.
Jesus.
He's fun to watch.
Yeah, a lot of fun to watch. No, I think the Andy Dalton thing is going to be interesting, but there's a reason why he's a backup. There's a reason why he's a backup. There's a reason why the Bengals were never more than a wild card weekend playoff team. He's good, not great, and Dak has the potential to bring them to greatness.
Yep.
Even though they went, I don't think Dallas has made it out of the wild card weekend either with him.
They beat Seattle a couple years ago.
Yeah, and then lost to Rodgers, I think, right after that, right?
They lost to the Rams. Goff's.
Oh
Rams.
Yeah. What am I thinking of? Anyways,
that was the year they went. His first year they went 13-3, and then they played Rodgers in the first game of that playoffs and lost by the Mason.
By that crazy sidearm throw down the sideline. Yeah. That was a hell of a throw. All right.
For them.
So I think we're at about the hour 15 mark. I think we can kind of start to wrap this up. So let's go ahead and do our last shots. Last little tidbit. Anything in the sports world, anything you want to cover, any sport, doesn't matter. What do you got?
You guys want to hear my stat of the day?
All right, let's hear.
Oh,
Wait, didn't you have a
about
random fact or something like that?
Oh yeah. Oh
Okay,
yeah. I
okay,
love
this is
Steve
it. All right. Dustin, final shot. Go.
So going back to Baker Mayfield and the Browns, our favorite team, Arley's favorite team right now.
It's like I love to hate him and hate to love him.
At the Browns Stadium, their home
Oh, yeah.
field, Baker just tied for the most wins as a quarterback at the Browns Stadium. 11 wins, huge number. Guess who he tied? Guess who was in that first spot?
I know this.
I don't know this one.
Roethlisberger.
Big Ben
Really?
was the winningest quarterback at the Browns Stadium.
Yeah.
He has a record. I went further into it. 14 games at the Browns.
Yeah.
He's 11 wins, 2 losses, and 1 tie.
Oh, that's phenomenal. Oh
It's
my gosh.
So bad of a stat, like just that 11's a number.
Yeah.
Wow.
That's a
Half
really
of your
good one.
games are there.
That is fantastic because they have such a rotation of quarterbacks over the last 40 years.
They've been so bad and so many quarterbacks.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Half of your games, and Big Ben's the best quarterback coming into your.
Oh man, that's actually really funny.
Nice. That's a
All
good
right.
stat.
Brooks, you got a random final shot?
I just want to give my parting shot to Alan Bowman as a starting quarterback at Texas Tech University. He today came out that we were starting Henry Colombi against West Virginia.
Are we really? I didn't
so-
even look that up.
Yeah, way to go, Wells. Good move.
I just want to say sayonara to your dink and dunks.
Bowman just felt good for a little bit there, but he just never actually did good.
He did good against bad teams, and then everybody.
That's what I'm
upped him
talking
because
about.
of that.
Like you'd get that little spark, and you're like, oh hey, maybe this is a Mahomes backup, and like next guy, no, it never was. Anytime he got put under pressure, anytime he had to actually perform, what was it like?
Yeah.
50-50 chance that he'd actually make the play.
Yeah. So sayonara. Bowman. It was nice to know you. I think.
I think my final shot for this week will be what's up now to all the Astros haters. I think that's my final shot. So fine, scandal happened, even though nobody wants to mention Boston or Yankees doing the exact same thing. Fine. Astros took the brunt of that force.
Not proven.
Not disproven either. Anyways,
Allegedly.
but we are. I've said this before, and I'll say it again. The Astros are the best team in the American League for over a long period of time. This is their 4th American League championship in 4 years. Or no, yeah, for 5 years with this core together, but 4 in a row that they've been there. So amidst the scandal, amidst all the hate, losing Garrett Cole, and they're still again they're getting smashed by the Rays. It's not even a competition. They're down 3-0. They're going to lose this, and the Rays are going to go on to the World Series. But 4 years out of 4 years, they've made the American League Championship Series. And so it is safe for me to say, I feel confident, even though I'm wearing this shirt, and I'm very biased about it, I feel safe to say that, like, over time, over consistency, at some point or another, if you're going to come out of the American League, you got to go through Houston. That's my final shot.
Not scared of him.
That's my not scared of him. All right, guys.
They wouldn't.
Go ahead, Brooks.
So they wouldn't have made the playoffs this year if it was an extended regular season. They were a losing record.
They are in the final 2.
But I was saying if it was a regular extended 162 game season, they had a losing record, got in because of extra playoff spots.
I mean, are you mad about about playoff Rondo?
No.
The Astros turn up for the playoffs. That's what they do. They're not
the
a
Lakers
regular
made
season
it on
team.
a full like I'm saying it's a 60 game baseball season.
Yeah.
So you have abnormalities. Like the Marlins made the playoffs. Nobody thought the Marlins were going to make the playoffs. I'm just saying, like, baseball is already a weird sport, and then you cut it by 102 games, and like you're going to have some weird things. Like they made the playoffs with a losing record.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you extend that out to 162 games, do they make it? Do they not?
Yeah.
There's extra playoff spots this year.
There's a lot of other things to be considered in this, but
that's all I was saying.
My point being was that they're in the ALCS again. 4th year in a row that they've been there. They won one of them, even though everybody wants to kind of argue the one win. but they're there every single year. And so like this year for me proved that they're to their core, they are an extremely talented roster that can continue to put out year after year. Yeah. Like even though they knew what pitch was coming, let's say in like a couple of the scenarios, they still had to put the bat to the ball. So that's my final shot. I know that kind of carried over a little bit. All right, guys. So same time next week, we'll pick this up. Everybody listening, I'll try and get this episode out to y'all on YouTube by Sunday evening or Monday morning. So kind of be on the lookout for that. If anybody wants to go back and watch any of this VOD, it's going to be on my Twitch stream at twitch.tv/BlankaOG. So if you do want to check that out, it'll be there live, the full uncut version. Anything else you guys want to say or put in for today?
I'm good, man.
All right, guys. Well, awesome talk. Had a lot of fun. I think this is going to be a very fun venture for us. I think it's going to, if this blows up or not, who knows? I think it's just going to be something fun to kind of get together. I think I haven't seen the two of you together since December, I believe. So it's been quite a bit. So awesome to see you guys. I'll catch you again. We'll talk soon. We'll figure out what we're going to talk about next week. I'm sure there's going to be plenty. But everybody else out there listening, appreciate you coming by. Hope you enjoyed it. We'll catch you next week on Wednesday.
See you.
Later.